on Gurus TV. We are here to discuss some issues with regards to football, Portugal, England, Ghana, Colombia, and also the current standings, the current pairings of the FIFA 26 World Cup. I'm here with my seasoned analyst, Mr. Augustus. Augustus, how are you today?
I am doing well. What about you?
I'm okay. How are you finding this World Cup so far?
Um, I thought because of all the political issues associated with this World Cup will make it like kind of dim the performance and stuff, but it has really been a really good World Cup. To be honest, it looks like it's taking shape and it's not a bad World Cup at all. Yeah, it seems good to me. What do you
There's
think?
never, there's never a bad World Cup. Yes, and I think
Yeah.
that's something that's just non-existent. A World Cup, regardless the situation surrounding it, will always be um, a standout event because, especially
Yeah.
because we have it 4 years at a time, every 4 years. Okay, so now we have some issues to discuss. The first one will be Portugal's situation. Um, Lots of people are not very convinced about this Portuguese side. Looking at how the midfielders are playing, their tactical arrangement, Ronaldo's situation has been a big topic for contention amongst many football fans. What is your take on this?
I don't think Ronaldo is the problem. I think Portugal faces a more systemic problem because the midfielders are not performing. The I think the defense are doing really well because they are able to stop attacks from going into goals and the goalkeeper as well. But I think the midfielders in general are not performing the way that we thought they would because if you have John Evers, you have Vitinha, you have Bruno. Is supposedly the best midfielder at the World Cup. But it is not panning out the way we all thought it would be because Vitinha is underperforming. Bruno just had just what that the one assist against Uzbekistan, and João Neves was benched by Roberto Martinez for the Colombia game, and he was just a substitute. So I think the midfield is not given us what we expected, and the wings is more likely dead at Portugal. So I think there's a more systemic problem, and the coach does not know how to approach some games. I
Why do you
don't
think? Why do you think that the wing is dead? Why do you think the wing is dead?
because Pedro Neto is not performing. Joao
Okay.
Felix is 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 not the player that we all thought that he would be as the golden boy in like for 7 or 6 years ago. He's not that guy. He's not the guy who like create chances for. You see, if you watch the Argentinian side, right, they all want they're all fighting for Messi, and so they all want to give something to Messi to like. But it is not the same for Portugal, right?
Okay.
I think they are not fighting enough, or they are just not good enough.
Okay.
So the wing is too dead. And the midfield is underperforming. The defense has actually impressed me with Renato Vega, the goalkeeper.
Mhm.
And Nuno Mendes is underperforming to me as well. He's not that guy that we see him at PSG. He's not performing he's not giving me top performances this World Cup. Maybe he's a little bit fatigued from the season
Nuno
before.
Mendes, yeah, Nuno Mendes.
Yeah.
I mean, from my perspective, what I thought is, I think tactically they have been a bit deficient. I feel like some of the players, the way they are deployed, especially Bruno Fernandes, even though we know he's a brilliant spectacle for Manchester United, a huge asset, but I think it's not been able to transition that kind of form into the Portugal kind of style. And to me, I can only portion that as a culture problem. What do you think?
Yeah, like we've been saying for some time now, the coach. I don't know what he is trying to do, because this I don't see what this his system is, right? If you like, I'm going to use Argentina for example again. They know that Messi is the best player they have in their squad, and so everything revolves around Messi, right? But in Portugal, I don't know what the kind of system they are trying to play. Even if you watch Spain, they know that they have this strong midfield asset. They can hold the ball and then they can give it to the wings so that they can conjure some kind of magic to provide a goal. But if you look at Portugal, you don't know what they are trying to do. So I think the coach has a problem. But if you think about the fact that he just won the UEFA Nations League, you think, is this the same coach that won? But you maybe he's just trying to find the right form for the team this tournament because they are not convincing him enough.
But then others would say that well, Portugal has a 41-year-old man leading the attack. He's not able to move. He's an immovable object. He doesn't have the energy. He doesn't have the capacity. He doesn't have the capability to be able to move into spaces where it allows players to find him with passes. And he's the main problem. What do you think of this?
That is if you watch Portugal games, Ronaldo moves a lot. And for a 41-year-old, he presses the defense. He forces them into making some decisions that they normally would not do.
Hmm.
So I don't think the problem is Ronaldo. He runs. He maybe he doesn't he's not running as much as he did when he was younger, but he's doing his work. But the system is not favored. Is not favoring him. That's
But
how I feel.
do you think that Ronaldo's pressing and his movement and his contribution is enough for Portugal, or do you think that a younger player like, let's say, Goncalo Ramos, could probably would be able to do it more?
Ramos is not good enough to. He you see, if Portugal had maybe a better option like maybe Mbappe or maybe Haaland or maybe Harry Kane, I would say maybe yeah, Ronaldo should go on the bench. But Gonzalo Ramos, this guy is a striker and he's on the bench for a team, and he's letting a winger play as a striker in his club team. It shows that he is not good enough, right? Maybe he has not reached the level that he
What
wants
if
to
it's
reach.
just the preference of the coach? Maybe the coach wants a different kind of football and maybe a more confusing rotatory kind of football. That's a reason he probably uses a ringer as a what do you
I don't
think?
think that is the problem. I think he doesn't offer enough right now as a player.
Okay, okay,
He is not that good. He's not at that top level yet. And
okay.
Ronaldo is at that top level. If you watch the games with Portugal, he is playing, he's doing everything he can, right? But the
But then
system
someone
is
would say Ronaldo plays in Saudi, and Saudi's league is not as competitive as Europe top five leagues. What do you make of that as well?
I don't think that is a problem at all. I'm saying I'm not talking about Saudi games. I'm talking about
Uh-huh.
the games I've watched this World Cup, right?
Okay, okay,
And you see, oh, the against Uzbekistan, right?
yeah,
The goals that Ronaldo scored, right? One was an assist from Joao Cancelo. Ronaldo is always a fox in the box, right?
okay,
If you give him the ball, he will score.
okay,
And against Uzbekistan, he was running against a very fast defender in Kusanov, and he was
okay,
able to outrun that defender, and he scored his second goal. So,
okay.
and
Yeah, I remember that.
it's not about running. It's about the system that favors Ronaldo. The Portugal squad and the team, the technical staff have to come to a consensus that Ronaldo is far ahead of everyone in the team. That is one thing that I think they have not realized. Ronaldo is far ahead of everyone in the team, and
Even
we
at his
should.
41-year-old age.
He's even as a 41-year-old, and so because no one in current ball football, right? I don't think even Harry Kane can put the ball behind the net better than Ronaldo if he has the right system around him, right?
Okay,
And
okay.
so if if the coach is able to form a system around him that gets the best out of him, we will see Ronaldo scoring a lot of goals. Maybe he might miss a few because All players do, but he will
Okay.
score a lot of goals if the right system is formed around. Right now, I
So,
don't see
what
the
do you
system.
suppose would call the right system? Because it looks like they have the best midfielders in the world. They have Bruno Fernandes, who just won the best EPL player. They have Vitinha and João Neves, who just won the Champions League back to back. They have Rafael Leao, who is well acclaimed as one of the best wingers in the world. They have Pedro Neto, who is one of Chelsea's main wingers. So, what kind of system would you classify as? Um,
I see what you see. What I'm trying to say is that they are all trying to be more individualistic. They are not performing as a team. If let's take the game against Colombia for example. If Bruno had a chance that he missed, if that was the Argentinians had playing for Messi, they would leave the ball for Messi to come and score because they would think Messi would have a more potent chance to score than them.
yeah.
But because Bruno thinks that he's the best player in the EPL, he would want to take the shot himself, right? So this is like I think it's more of um, um, a mental thing, right? If they decide that okay, this is the guy, if we find him, he will score. I feel like they are not finding him enough, and and the Portugal as they are not compact enough as a team. There are a lot of spaces in your team. If you see them play, they are not convincing at all. They are not convincing
Okay. So, do you think Portugal can win the World Cup?
unless something. You see, football is you cannot really predict. You can predict. That's why we have betting and all those things. But unless something changes, because um, if if they meet a more potent team, because yesterday Portugal's keeper was the man of the match. He made a lot of saves that stopped Colombia from winning that game. Right. So if they meet a more potent team that is able to pull out more threats, they will crash out. And so I think, but football you never know because they can just watch the game and then realize something and something will click and then they'll have that nice system again. But right now, from what I've seen from the group stages, I don't think they can.
I personally do not currently think that they are capable of winning the World Cup. I mean, based
Yes.
off what I've watched, yeah,
Mhm.
what scene I've had, I think they're very sterile, very passive, and they don't really pose lethal threat up front.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like when they are playing, there's no like urgency in their game.
exactly.
Yeah.
So for these kind of reasons, if as me personally, what I think is if Portugal are very serious about winning this World Cup, they need to replace the coach right now. This is my own narrative that I don't believe that this coach is capable of winning a World Cup. And I'm not even saying that off the back of what I've seen. It's just a long-standing track record of what he's done with Belgium, which was a golden era that really had a potent chance of winning something monumental. And because of a subpar coach, they were not able to achieve that, even though they had the best talents in the world. And I think that's going to be replicated in Portugal when Portugal's now they have an actual golden generation because I think for a very long time Portugal has not had this level of talent spread across all different areas of the field like they have now. Because when you look at the right back, they have Cancelo, they have Semedo, they have Dalot, three top players for just one position. Left back, they have the best in the world. Center back, they have Ruben Diaz, yes, and Inacio. I'm not sure why Inacio is not playing, but he's not. But he's one of the best in Portugal. Yeah,
Even Renato Vega hasn't been bad at all this tournament.
yeah. Renato Vieira is also yes, and then we have Vitinha, we have Ruben Neves, we have João Neves, we have um, Bruno, who is the best player in EPL. Okay, we have Leao, we have Cristiano, we have Felix, we have um, Neto. So it is quite a constellation of high level talents, and I'll be very surprised if they are not able to translate this level of talent into something materially meaningful. Yeah,
Do you think that maybe they would be better as an attacking, like as a counter-attacking team? Because all of these games that we've watched them play, they had to be on the front foot. They had to attack and score goals because they were the maybe maybe the better side, and so the other side will set up this defensively, right, and then try to hit them on the counter. Do you think maybe it's because they want to be the counter? Because if you watch them against Spain in the UEFA Nations League final, they were more of a counter attacking team. They let Spain had the ball, and then they counter attacked them and then scored a few goals from that. And even though Spain also scored 2 goals, that took that match to penalties. Do you think that maybe they will be better if they were a counter-attacking team?
I think they need to be a more pragmatic team rather
Mhm.
than anything else. Yes, a team that adapts to the situations and circumstances posed to them by their opponents. So if you're playing, let's say, a Spanish team, yeah, um, if you really want to have results, because Spanish teams, all the players across the expanse of the field are trained to be ball retainers. So they'll probably more than anything else would like to hold the ball and probably be able to do so more than anyone else, yeah, or any other country. So in that kind of team, yes, then why not sit back and let your passers find spaces on the counter break? I think that would be more prudent to do. But then look at Portugal's natural talent that they have, especially in midfield. It would be quite a tragedy to see them waste all of that defending most of the games. Yes, so I think it needs to be a very shrewd mix between attack and defense. But this is all something that is engineered, configured by a smart, high-level tactical manager. That kind of transition between um, a slow-paced defensive kind of framework or a very hyper, ultra fast-paced counter-attacking football. This is something that needs to be engineered by a top-level operator like Ancelotti or Marino, someone like that. But then when you look at with the coach they have right now, who is Roberto Martinez, I doubt that he has the wherewithal, the capability to be able to combine this level of sophistication all in one kind of framework. So that is the reason probably why he wouldn't temper with that level of brilliance, because he probably isn't that level, which will probably also mean that Portugal will become more monotonous, more predictable. Probably playing the front foot, exposing the back, which makes them vulnerable at the back and vulnerable to counterattacks. So essentially, I think um, they need to have that kind of mix where they're able to change gear and move into a different kind of dynamic when needed. But I don't think they have that kind of asset in
Because the
terms
coach
of
is not
where
good enough.
the manager is. Yes, yes,
Huh.
yeah. That's
Well,
my thought.
I think maybe um, I don't think maybe something will happen and something will just push them and and then they'll become favorites to win the World Cup. But right now, I only see maybe Argentina and France. To be honest, Argentina, Argentina, you can never rule Argentina out because of Messi, right? Because they have that
What
mindset.
about the Dutch? What about the Dutch? They've been quite impressive so far.
I don't trust them because of their coach. Because I don't think Ronald Koeman, like you said, the same thing applies to the coach of Netherlands, Ronald Koeman. He hasn't shown us on a lot of occasions that he's a good manager, and if he finds himself in a really tough spot, I don't think he will make the right call to transcend changes in the game for them to win. And I'm really like looking forward to how they will fare against Morocco, because I think Morocco can one up them and then just kick them out of the competition, because as we've seen, Morocco kicked out Spain and Portugal last World Cup, and so they are a team that is really capable of kicking out Netherlands. So I'm looking to see what that matchup will be, but I don't trust the coach. Again, same thing applies. I don't trust the coach to make like the right tactical arrangements when he finds himself in a tough spot. See, Japan, they couldn't score Japan. Even though Japan is a very good team, one would argue that if you're a good coach, you would score. You could have done something against Japan, but still,
Okay, okay.
I don't trust them.
All right, I get it. You don't trust the Dutch coach, yeah?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
so far, I think they've been quite stellar. They've been quite dominant in all their games. Yes, they couldn't beat Japan, but Japan's beaten everyone, including England. Japan has been very dominant in the last couple of months to about here. So I think with the Japan example, we're not able to use that as a reference point because Japan looks like they have really upgraded their football recently. But then I
mm,
also really understand what you're saying about how they 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 flatter to deceive,
yeah, yeah.
especially and also with a common argument I also hear. But then someone would also say that a coach like Scaloni did not have any kind of reputation or any kind of significant achievement in football prior to winning the World Cup. They eventually still did. So that would also be a
Yeah,
fact.
but Scaloni had Messi. Messi is the wild card, right? Scaloni had Messi. Netherlands, you don't have anyone close to Messi, right?
But
You
then
don't
why is
have.
it that the coaches who had Messi prior to Scaloni, like Maradona and the coach he had in 2014, why weren't they able to use Messi to win the World Cup in 2010, 2014, 18, and 24,
I
22?
think they had the same problem that Portugal is having right now, because at that time, right, they had a lot of stars like Tevez, like Higuain, like Lavezzi. They had a lot of stars at their disposal and thought maybe, maybe not just Messi should do the job. Just let's just build a system. No, the system will be around everyone, and just a system that will not just get the best out of Messi, right? And so I think that is why, if you take a look at Messi's first four World Cups, he didn't pretty much do a lot of he didn't do well. But in this last two World Cups, he's been scoring a lot of goals because he is the system. Because that is the system that makes Messi flourish the most when he is the system. You can compare it to at PSG, he wasn't the system, and so we didn't see a lot of Messi. We didn't see the best moments of Messi because he wasn't the system. The system was more of Mbappe, Neymar, and Messi in there. But in this Argentina side, you know that the system is Messi, right? Everything revolves around him. If he's in the box, everyone is waiting for Messi to do his magic. So in in the last two World Cups, which of course he won the FIFA's win, and now he scored 6 goals in 3 games. That's he's a madman, right? So that is the difference. I would say Scaloni, and I think Scaloni has a little more of a tactical acumen than, even though we've not seen him on maybe a club level do more of that. I think Scaloni might have more of a tactical acumen than Ronald Coleman. So yeah, so that is how I feel. Well, the Netherlands, I'm really waiting to see how they perform against Morocco because I've not really tuned into one of their games. But you see, one would argue that the only tough match they had was Japan, and they drew that match, and against Tunisia and Sweden, all these countries are not. top countries. One would argue that Japan is not even a top country, but they still drew against them.
I mean, top football country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Understandably, we can really, I can really see your
Um,
narrative.
I would I would fancy a Brazil in the final because of where they are. I don't think okay. Let me say I will fancy Brazil in the semifinal because of one their coach, top coach, the ultimate tournament coach in Carlo Ancelotti. And I think their side of the bracket, there are not a lot of top football nations there because it's just, if I can count right, it's just Argentina, England, and maybe Brazil. England, unless this like unless something happens again, I don't think they will fare far in this tournament. If 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 care is not taken, they might crash out of the tournament, even though they're one of the favorites.
Mm.
Mm.
So that leads me to the second part of the conversation is about England. So England, first of all, we're going to talk about how do you think they fared in this tournament. They've had two wins, one draw. It has had overall 7 points in the group stages, two wins against Panama and Croatia, 2-0 and 4-2, respectively. And then they had a draw against a very robust Ghanaian side. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, but then a lot of people are still not very convinced of their display. They also have injury concerns right now because prior to the tournament, the coach decided against all recommendations that he was not going to take along Trent Alexander-Arnold. He left him out of the squad and eventually decided to stick with O'Reilly and Livramento left back and Rhys James and yeah, essentially these players as
Jade
wing back.
Spence.
Rhys James and Just Spence as wing back as fullbacks. Yeah, but then prior to the tournament, Rich Livramento quite expectedly um, suffered an injury and was ruled out of the tournament and was replaced with a centre back in and not Trevor Chaloba and not um,
Trent.
Trent Alexander-Arnold. And now Reece James is injured. Yesterday he was replaced with um,
Jarrell Kwanzaa.
Jarrell Kwanzaa, who also became injured during the game. So it's essentially leaving England
Without
without
him.
a natural right back. What do you make of this?
I think the coach was just really stubborn. Now, I think the issue with Trent Alexander is just personal. It has nothing to do with footballing reasons. Right? I feel at this point, I feel it's just personal. He has.
Why do you think that?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think he left him out because of footballing reasons. Because if you take a look at Jay Spence, take a look at Livermento, take a look at O'Reilly, you take a look at Reece James. The only person who is at par with Trent is Reece James. And some would argue that maybe even Trent is better, but some will argue that Reece James is better, right? And Reece James, since 2021, has not played 4 games in a row. He has not played 4 games in a row. He always gets injured. And so you knew the track record of this player. I knew of the track record of this player. And you as a coach, it is your job to know. So I'm guessing that he knew that Rich James had this problem, that he is not being able to play consecutive games because he always has an injury problem. Right? Rich James has had an injury problem since they won the Champions League. He has been injury prone. And you are going into a tournament as good as Rhys James is. You need you need Trent. They needed Trent. Like for example, the game against Ghana. If maybe Trent was in that game, maybe he would have saw a pass. He would have seen a pass that maybe normal players wouldn't have because the vision of Trent is out of this world. Right? It is something that so you needed Trent in the squad, even if you don't think that he would be your number one. he would have been there because over the years he had been on the bench, and so on for England, I mean, he had been on the bench for England, and so if you took him along, now that you have an injury problem, he would have just fit right in because you are going to play against DR Congo next, and they are a robust defensive side too because they played 1-1 draw against Portugal,
Portugal,
and I think they lost against Colombia 1-0,
Croatia,
and they
Croatia. It's against
Colombia,
Croatia.
Colombia. They lost
Colombia,
against
sorry. Yeah.
they lost
Yeah.
against Colombia 1-0, and they won against Uzbekistan 3-1. Right? They also have the tendency to be a robust defensive side, and you need these kind of players in your team to create chances out of the blue so that you can win some games. And I don't think the passing range of Trent Alexander-Arnold is just ridiculous. In as much as he lacks some things defensively, he overcompensates offensively, right? And
Okay.
so if you're going to face a team with a low block, you can decide not to start him. You can decide not to say you can put him on the bench. If the game gets tougher, you can bring him on. He will swing a lot of passes into the box, and one will end up in the back of the net. If you remember, um, Bayern Munich against Real Madrid. He gave Kylian Mbappe a lot of chances. He was able to just score one, which Manuel Neuer was brilliant in that match. He made a lot of saves, but he even the goal for Kylian Mbappe. He swung a lot of passes and then located Mbappe, and he scored all those. He scored that goal. So if you have um, um, offensive threats like Harry Kane, like Jude Bellingham, and potentially sometimes when Rashford is having his day and he's an element, he's one of the best players in the world. If he's able to find these players, he will put the ball at the back of the net, and then you have your qualification. This is a tournament, it's a do or die affair, so you have to do everything in a one game. So now you're going to face a DR Congo. Right now, I wanted them to face a more tougher opposition, right? Because I feel like they would suffer and they will realize how bad they did not calling up Trent because they need right now they don't have a right back. If Trent was there, he would just fit right in, and then you still have your squad, a squad that will put fear in any opposition. But now you don't have that.
But then someone would also say that this coach is more defensive orientated, and then he wanted a more impregnable, a more impenetrable kind of defensive backline. And with Trent, with all his defensive troubles, may have, maybe one time made a mistake that would have ended in the defensive line being penetrated. So for that reason, he thought, okay, maybe Jet Spence is good defensively, so why not bring Jet Spence, who is more athletic, faster, more powerful, um, and would be able to help us defend counterattacks because he is very pacey as well. So probably this is probably the coach's mindset, going into the selection, thinking, okay, maybe Jeff Spence would be able to provide more for me in this kind of um, demand rather than Trent. And also maybe in terms of the set pieces and the crosses, I know Trent does it better than everyone else. But then maybe he thinks that he has a Saka or he has a Jude or even Rich James who can probably deliver something of the same level or standard. So probably the reason he
I,
left him. Left
I
him
don't
out. What do you think?
like I said, I feel the reason why he left out Trent, even after Livramento got injured and he decided to call up Chalobah. That that is it's I think there's a personal problem. Like he has something personal against it. It has nothing to do with football. Because if you look at the way England is set up, the way they play their football, the way they they need strength. They need strength, right? I feel like in that current setup, the way they set up, I already talked to you about this before. They are playing more of long balls, and no one hits the ball longer than Trent. You know, if you are talking about the defensive issues, I don't think Trent is bad defensively than Livermore. or who else they call. Oh, I've not really watched Jet Spence much, but I don't think anyone in their right mind will choose Jet Spence over Trent. Like I said, Jade Spence, he was even playing for Tottenham Hotspur, a relegation threatened team. So, like I said, I think the reason to leave out Trent has nothing to do with football. And I think Trent will show. I think as a Real Madrid fan, I'm really happy because Trent is resting and it's making him more aggressive for next season because we will actually need him for next season because we want to win all things on all fronts. But it has nothing to do with football.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean, you could say that with ultimate utility. It makes perfect sense.
Mm,
Um, but obviously, we don't have any evidence to substantiate um,
mhm.
that assertion that he left him out for reasons peripheral to football.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't have evidence, but looking at because you decided to call John Stones, you decided to go Jordan Henderson.
that's another thing people are talking about because it looks like Jordan Henderson, who's 36 years old, who was fundamentally taken. I mean, presumably fundamentally selected to go to the World Cup to be a cheerleader, to be a role model for players who are not playing. Is having more minutes ahead of a young burgeoning prospect like Kobe Mainu, and people find that really problematic. That why you're not giving Kobe Mainu um,
Some
some
minutes.
minutes to be able to get more acquainted with the World Cup kind of environment and prepare for future World Cups where he may be really at the helm of the midfield of England. What do you think of this?
Well, like I said, Tuchel, I kind of get him sometimes, but sometimes I don't really get him because I don't get why Jordan Henderson is playing and Maino is on the bench because when he was bringing Jordan Henderson on, England had already won the game. Right?
Exactly.
They didn't need to maybe defend a one goal lead, and this is a game that they were on top of.
Hmm?
Right, they were on top of throughout the game. I don't think, how do you call it? Panama was maybe they posed one or two threats, which is a given if you're attacking on all fronts. But sometimes I get him, sometimes I don't. I don't get his decision to call John Stones. I don't get his decision to call Jordan Henderson. I don't get his decision why he's leaving Commano on the bench when he could come in maybe as a cameo and then do something because we know of Commano's quality. He is a great he's a great midfielder and he has a long future ahead of him. But I don't know. I don't know why. But I just don't get him sometimes.
Yeah, I think Tuchel selections, especially for England, was especially very questionable for many English fans. Thought it did not reflect the ultimate quality of English football. Leaving players like Phil Foden and Cole Palmer was also a matter of contention. A lot of people thought that a player like Phil Foden should be able to be on the squad, especially players like John Stones and Jet Spence um, um, are, are members of the squad. Um, but I can completely also comprehend his perspective for not including them because I think probably not in the best form right now, especially Cole Palmer. He looks not right. He looks like there's something wrong with him. Looks like he's probably injured and probably needs time to nurse that injury. Phil Foden had a very difficult season, which started to improve at the latter end, but still not convincing enough to warrant a place on the squad. But then when you put everything into perspective, do you think that they should have been on the squad?
I think at least one of them, one of Phil Foden or Cole Palmer should have been on the squad because of
Which one?
the what
Which one?
I don't know. I think both of them have been bad, but I'm talking about the kind of profile that both of them have. Right? If you look at Cole Palmer, right? he maybe I would probably say Cole Palmer because he has been delivered. He scored a goal in the Euro 2024 final for
Hmm.
England, right? But
Hmm.
I'm talking about the profile both of them have because Phil Foden and Cole Palmer, they are able to like hold the ball in tight spaces and get out of tight spaces, right? And this is the kind of player that you need when you are playing against a low block team, right? A team that is defending their one goal lead or something, like Spain was when Cole Palmer came on and scored, right? So you need. I think the one should have made the team because of their ability to get out of tight spaces and yeah, versatility. Because right now we know both Phil Foden and Cole Palmer can play as attacking midfielder and the winger sometimes. And so I think one of them should have made it. I would probably say Cole Palmer because I think he has more football IQ, right? But it is understandable also to leave them out because they were not great last season or season that just ended. So, but I think in some times they will come to regret leaving him out.
Well, we hope that time never comes and England is able to progress and potentially win this World Cup eventually, hopefully. But obviously, it's never going to be an easy task. It's going to be something that is going to be incredibly arduous on the way, and we hope that they are well prepared for every obstacle along the way. Thank you very much for
Mhm.
listening to our conversation, and thank you, um, Augustus, for your in-depth knowledge and analysis of football. And we will continue some other time within the week as the World Cup continues. Yeah. Thank you. Bye bye.